National Cheeseburger Day, evidently.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
So we got some burgers and Diet Cokes.
I want one of
The best burger in the city.
And David's doing a good job, everybody, right? I think David. Does everyone know David?
Mr. Bailey? Oh, David, Bitcoin Magazine? Yeah, he's great.
He's doing a good job. We got this whole thing started. I'll sign that.
Menu? Yeah.
Would you like one? Do you want a hamburger?
These burgers are killer. They really are.
They're good.
Save your bite.
That's great, man. How's that nice?
That's perfect. Amazing. And one more right here would be fantastic. If you don't mind, and then we have some gifts for you.
Good. I want Bitcoin. Okay, you got it.
We appreciate your open-mindedness. Thank you so much for coming here.
No,
Really
it's great.
appreciate
It's a new era, and that's what's happening. It's amazing to see what's happened in such a short period of time. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Mr. President, you want to have some now?
Yeah.
Or we can
Who wants a hamburger?
Thank you.
These suckers are good, too. They make a good hair.
Yeah.
This is a crypto burger. Actually, you should name them. Name a Bitcoin and a crypto. We've got plenty of them you can name. Okay? I think you're going to be in good shape back there.
Last bottle Diet Coke.
Do you want one? Huh? You want one? Go ahead, take it. She's around. She's been great. I just think Greg Gutfeld's. You have to watch it tonight. Greg Gut. How many people were down? Doug, you were there? That's cool, right? He's done a good job. Does everyone know Pulitzer Prize winner? Doug is one of the greats. Look at him. He's embarrassed. He's embarrassed. Okay, here you go. Doug, you're great.
You gonna have one?
He makes me look thin. That's all I care. Yeah. Got it. Have a good time, everybody.
Yo, welcome to Simple Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Breaking news, culture, dramatic warfare. We'll be your guide through the separation of money and state. Here's the first clip of Donald Trump at Pubkey in New York City. And this is the first time a U.S. president completed a Bitcoin transaction. We have the clip of that specifically later on in the show. But there you have, like, Trump bought burgers for everyone in the bar, just handing it out. I think at one point he called it a crypto burger. You just hear the whole crowd say, boo, boo. Anyways, from a historical perspective, this is absolutely massive. You can never have imagined this. 2016, 2017, when I got in, Ben got in earlier than I did. Can never have imagined this, right? Bitcoin being made legal tender in El Salvador, 2021. 2024, you have an ex-president and potential future president, saying he'll protect the right to self-custody, he'll protect the right to mine, he'll stop the Operation Choke Point 2.0, and there he is completing his first Bitcoin transaction at the famous Bitcoin bar in New York City, Pubkey. So absolutely crazy, historic. Here's the second part of the clip.
Donald Trump, he is in a bar, I believe, in downtown New York called the Pubkey in downtown Manhattan. Maybe we can play up some sound here, guys, and see if he says anything.
Scan this QR code here with this phone if you want to take that from him. Go ahead. Scan that QR code right here. Right there. Right there. Just that one. It's like technical difficulty.
All right. And fantastic, it went through.
So absolutely historic moment. As you can see, he was having trouble. There was glare. He tried to scan it first. It wasn't scanned. Then they did it for him. But still, it still counts in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny.
looking at that, it reminds me of the days of old where you would have somebody like onboarding a merchant or something, and you'd have the demo video of like, look, we did the transaction, and but now it's a president doing it, and it's just history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is such a historic moment, absolutely huge. And again, also a reminder of something that we've been talking about for the last couple days, the last couple of months, really, about this upcoming election in the United States. It will have a major impact in the regulatory environment for Bitcoin businesses in the US. You don't want those Lightning wallets to continue to flee, like Wallet of Satoshi, like Phoenix Wallet, and also the persecution of Bitcoin developers like the Samurai guys. So yeah, it is going to be the first Bitcoin election. And I think that is definitely a show of good faith. And I do want to give a shout out to the people that made it happen. I believe it was Anthony Pompliano and David Bailey that played a big role in getting Trump to Pubkey to make his first Bitcoin president, the first time a U.S. president makes a Bitcoin transaction. Absolutely historic moment in Bitcoin's history. And I do want to get a legendary co-host who's here on the wings today, Optimus Fields. How you doing, bro?
What's up, dude? What's up, Ben? How you doing? I'm doing well, man. Everything's great. But yeah, what a interesting clip, to say the least. First of all, of course, seeing Donald Trump on a superficial level do a Bitcoin transaction does, as Nico always say, break the Overton window. And then I think the most interesting part is there was a lot of Bitcoiners kind of talking about the fact that, one, it didn't even seem like Trump was doing it himself. It's like, okay, he's like a boomer learning new technology, like give the guy a break. But the fact that this was on Fox News, like, I think that is a historic event. Of course, for all of us younger people, none of us are watching corporate press, and we probably don't watch Fox News. And I think the demographic is like 60 plus. But again, with the idea of the Overton window and having that transaction take place, yes, it was a little clunky considering that there was a lot of glare and there was some QR code issues with the lights and stuff. And yes, it wasn't necessarily Trump doing it himself, but again, he's still on his learning curve, and I think got to give him a break a little bit here. The fact that he's actually doing this, I think, is super historic. Of course, this is him campaigning. Like, let's not, go into who's just a politician. This doesn't matter. Bitcoin doesn't need Trump, or Bitcoin doesn't need politicians. Politicians need Bitcoin. We totally get it, guys. Like, of course, we all think the same thing, but it is a historic event. Now everyone's saying is, what was it? September 18th, official burger day for Bitcoiners. Like, we have pizza day. But Nico, I know you want to get into the show real quick, but I do want to kind of do a little update on what the stack was here. I got this good tweet from Will Cole kind of clarifying a lot of stuff here. And Will Cole goes, so lots of questions in regards to this transaction. We'll call this the Trump stack. Donald Trump wielded a Strike wallet, paying a Zaprite app. Lightning invoice belongs to Pubkey, who are running their own Lightning LND node on Voltage Cloud. Very stable and reliable setup. In fact, everybody says it's the best setup. It's the best setup ever. And then just to clarify, Mags responds, that was not as smooth as Lightning transactions usually are. What happened? And Will Cole responds, lots of flash photography causing glare on the screen, plus an invoice that had been open for a long time in anticipation. They take Lightning payments there every night with no hiccups. Was just a lot going on. And so I did see a lot of people basically saying like, oh, this was just a photo op. Of course, this was just a campaign political op. Guys,
it totally was.
Of course it was. Of course it was. But still, I think the point remains the same, that this was a historic moment in the Bitcoin space at large. Obviously, as Bitcoiners, we like to hype everything up. We get super excited about everything. But let's not take away from the fact that, technically, the first U.S. president to do a Bitcoin transaction at Pubkey in New York, I think, is a legendary moment, which just goes to show how far this industry has grown. But I get it. A lot of anti-politicians in the Bitcoin space like, bro, like when is he going to have his own Lightning wallet, his own Lightning non-custodial wallet? And so there's just a lot of purity tests, but still, guys, come on. He's a boomer. Like, give the guy a break. I know there's boomers out there that do know how to use Bitcoin, but he's still early in his Bitcoin journey. And so it's still an important moment. But, I'll get hate on that. I don't really care. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I also got to say, like, do you remember the first time that you used a Bitcoin Lightning? I mean, a Bitcoin wallet and a Lightning transaction. Like it was like somewhat difficult to do, right? So yeah, this is a 78-year-old man. He is pandering, but that's the whole point of politicians. And some of the things that like I've been explaining is Bitcoiners are now becoming part of his donor class. And at the end of the day, DC politicians are run by their donors fundamentally. That's why Trump went there, because they raised a lot of money for him in Nashville. And, you know, he's doing the favor back. So we want Bitcoiners to be part of the donor base, because that's how you actually influence American politics. Ben, do you want to add to that?
I do. And the most bullish thing about this, other than the fact that, yes, we have a president, that is doing a Lightning transaction, is, to me, the Pubkey setup and what they've done. Because in the days of old, it'd be, look, we're doing a Bitcoin transaction, and the person would be receiving, like the merchant would be receiving via BitPay, which is getting dumped to dollars immediately. And they've got, first of all, Zaprite's incredible. I use that myself for invoicing. But they have their own Lightning node. They've got this full setup where they can accept it on the spot. And I can testify to the way that they've got it set up, because it's very much the way that I use it, and it works beautifully. And and you have control over the full stack, and they're stacking those sats, right? They're not dumping them to dollars. So that's the bullish thing here, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And of course, like, we all work in showbiz, right? When you have a president right there, your hand's a little bit more shaky than it normally would. But yeah, maybe it caused a bad impression on Trump, but normally it works flawlessly. Anyways,
wait, the best part is like, we brought a gift for you. It's like, yes, I want Bitcoin.
I want Bitcoin. He definitely knows the things to say. In other news, we're going to talk about Congressman Warren Davidson continuing to just criticize Gary Gensler and his attack on self-custody. We're also going to talk again about the RNC platform this year, about their promises, about the ending the crackdown on the industry, supporting the right to self-custody, defend the right to mine, and also opposing the creation of a central bank digital currency. The state of Louisiana becomes the first state to accept cryptocurrency payment. So we're going to get into the details of that. And of course, Blackrock released a report specifically mentioning all these things about they sound like Bitcoiners. It's crazy, but we all have to be very, very wary, because at the end of the day, they don't actually, that what they're recommending is Bitcoin, but what they're recommending is ETF Bitcoin, not spot Bitcoin. So that's something important to keep in mind. Anyways, during the culture segment, we are going to highlight Ben's new company, Bitcoin Mentor. We're also going to talk about Bitcoin circular economies, and just interview the legend himself, Btc Sessions. So guys, this is going to be a great show. Stay tuned. And for everyone who's watching now, make sure to smash that like button. Help us break 100 likes within the first 20 minutes of the show. And of course, if you guys are watching us on X, Rumble, and Nostr, we really appreciate it. Everyone watching us on Nostr, we appreciate the zaps. Quite surprised how many we've been getting these last couple days. So we're going to continue posting on Nostr. Protocols over platforms. Anyways, before we get into the show, I do want to give a shout out to Simply Bitcoin's lead sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. Buy real Bitcoin, enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin in Canada, in the USA. To get started, you put in your email address. It takes 2 to 5 minutes to get signed up. And bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to buy automatic self-custody Bitcoin. What does automatic self-custody mean? It means every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, as soon as the funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. By the way, every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you earn Bitcoin Well points, and you could use those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest, which we'll do live for you guys right now. Get your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan the QR code has an opportunity to win up to 1 million Satoshi. So today's prize is 500 sats. If you use promo code SimplyBTC, again, SimplyBTC, to sign up to BitcoinWell.com today, you get 3 tosses into the Bitcoin Wishing Well absolutely free. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers. All right, everybody. So usually when you buy a hardware wallet, it usually comes with a piece of paper, 12, 24 words, and you're meant to write down your seed words on that piece of paper. The problem is paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. Your dog could eat it, which is exactly why you should get yourself a stamped seed. A stamped seed is a titanium seed phrase storage kit. Comes with everything you need to literally proof of work your seed into a piece of titanium. It comes with the hammer. It comes with the metal stamping tools. It comes with the anvil. It comes with everything. And also, they're offering a promo that's currently live right now. And if you buy more than $30 worth of products from Stampseed, you get a custom Bitcoin metal stamping tool. So it comes with all the letters, but there's a custom piece that comes with the Stampseed today. It's a special offer. You're not going to be able to get it later. Opti's showing it off right now. So if you go right now,
hard to see.
You go right now and you get yourself a Stampseed kit today. It will come. Show the B, Opti. There we go.
It won't zoom really.
There it is. There it is. So today, there's a special sale going on Stampseed only today. If you buy more than $30 worth of products, you get a limited edition Bitcoin letter stamping tool. So head over to stampseed.com today. Use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their website. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 63,450 sats per dollar, 1,576. Block height 861,988. Blocks to halving 188,112. Halving estimate March 28, 2028. Total Lightning Network capacity 5,059 BTC. Capacity value roughly 321 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation 1.36%. Market capitalization 1.25 trillion, and Bitcoin versus gold market cap 7.07%. In the grand scheme of things, we are just getting started. Anyways, I do want to show you guys a clip of Warren Davidson absolutely grilling and questioning Gary Gensler's leadership. This is the same Gary Gensler that did not want the Bitcoin ETF approved. It was only because of the pressure that was being mounted by Blackrock that they were able to finally get that through. By the way, I have a better image of the limited edition letter stamping tool from Stampseed. Again, it's only available today if you head over to stampseed.com. Use promo code SIMPLY. If you buy more than $30 worth of stuff, you'll get yourself one of these. They're completely limited edition, so they're scarce. Once they run out, they run out. Anyways, so back to Warren Davidson. This is about a 4-minute clip. It's absolutely awesome, and I just love clips where Gary Gensler is getting absolutely wrecked. Let's check it out.
Mr. Reiners, I hope no one's listening to you about this.
Oh, sorry about that. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Let's try that one more time.
Listening to you about this market, especially as a student trying to understand the space. It's over $1 trillion just for Bitcoin. The market's over $2 trillion. Clearly, lots of consumers find value in this space. And frankly, the idea that you could point out that there's only one time that the SEC was even partially wrong has to be willful ignorance. I mean, I don't know how it could be anything other than deceit. It's hard for me to understand, because on August 29th, 2023, the Circuit Court upheld the position that the SEC violated the Administrative Procedures Act when it denied Grayscale's application to convert Grayscale Bitcoin Trust into a Bitcoin ETP. Following that decision, the SEC waited until January of 2024 to actually approve the conversion, and they basically was a pure rebuke of the actions. If you look at Debtbox, another pure rebuke. Lawyers would normally get disbarred for the conduct of SEC in the Debtbox case. So there are lots of cases where they've been caught and told that they were wrong by the courts. And the market continues to reinforce that there really is value, just looking at Bitcoin alone. People right now believe that it's a secure way to store value with a level of confidence of around $60,000. I mean, that's a new security product on the market that you could digitally secure a unit of value, and people believe in it enough to put almost $60,000 into one unit of measure in a Bitcoin. And they don't just want to store it there, they want to be able to transfer it in a permissionless peer-to-peer way. So if you read the Bitcoin white paper available at bitcoin.org, you could see the concept, even if you just read the abstract. It's not just meant to be parked there or speculated on, it's meant to be able to be moved in a permissionless way. Now, we don't know how much of that $1 trillion of market cap in Bitcoin is self-custody versus third-party custody. But the SEC, under Gary Gensler's leadership, has willfully undermined the ability for anyone to custody digital assets, not just Bitcoin, but the rest of the space as well. So they've decided that if they can't completely end the entire space, they want to push custody of it to some third party that they can control or manipulate. They certainly don't want individual American citizens to custody their own wealth and be able to move it amongst others. So, Mr. Fazaro, when you look at this space and the special purpose broker-dealer path that we saw, people saying, we'd love to try to custody digital assets for others, what kind of problems did you find with the current framework offered by Mr. Gensler?
A few of the challenges related to this framework that relate specifically to Bitcoin and crypto exchange traded products that I can mention. One is that as an issuer, an offer of someone who wants to offer these products, the larger and well-established custody banks that typically participate in custody of assets in collective investment vehicles are effectively barred from participating in the space. They don't have a way to bring custody services to the market. That's one challenge. A second one that I'd like to mention is that in the ETF structure itself, or the ETP structure itself, typically the funds have a creation and redemption mechanism that works through what is known as an in-kind process, where the fund exchanges shares in exchange for the underlying asset itself. Because broker-dealers are not able to handle Bitcoin and crypto, we can't have that type of mechanism in the exchange-traded products.
Is that a consistent way that it's applied for ETP, ETF products? Are they treating this differently?
In overseas jurisdictions, we have in-kind transactions that occur in ETFs and ETPs, but it's consistently applied here in that we're not able to bring that type of structure to market, which is a thing that we think slightly increases costs for end users.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, again, it's the continuation of Operation Choke Point 2.0 and the continuation of like, okay, maybe we can't ban this thing outright, but if we ban self-custody, it still achieves the same thing. And you could still see them doing this in the background, right? And this leads me to the importance of this year's election. So we have one party that is anti-Bitcoin, pro-CBDC, and we have another party who is pro-Bitcoin, anti-CBDC, and now that RFK has bowed out of the race and supported Donald Trump, it's a two-party system. I know it's not perfect. I know Trump is not a pure Bitcoin maxi. He supports Bitcoin and crypto. I know that's unpopular with a lot of Bitcoiners, but the other option I think is terrible, as highlighted in that clip, and just the continuation of this attack on the industry. So this is the official Republican Party platform. On number 5, it says champion innovation. There's a specific part that focuses on Bitcoin and crypto, and it says Republicans will end Democrats' unlawful and un-American crypto crackdown and oppose the creation of a central bank digital currency. We will defend the right to mine Bitcoin and ensure every American has the right to self-custody of their digital assets and transact free from government surveillance and control. So it's very, very clear there. I know it's very uncomfortable for a lot of people having this conversation. And the reason for that is because I think politics are divisive. I think by definition, they're divisive. It's the organization of power. But what I would say is, remember, Bitcoin is a separation of money and state. Bitcoin fixes a lot of these problems. So it's important to put Bitcoin over party. And we have two clear choices ahead of us in this upcoming election in the United States in November. And I got to say, I would rather vote for Trump. That's not perfect. then vote for the Kamala Harris that will continue their crusade against the industry, as highlighted right there. You saw Warren Davidson. He identified it. He's like, look, even if they don't get rid of digital assets altogether, they're going to go after self-custody. And the reason for that is simple. They don't want for people to be able to hold money of which they can't debase. That's fundamentally what it comes down to. But this doesn't surprise me. This is the separation of money and state. This is what it's all about. But we now have the ability to do something about it as Bitcoiners become part of the donor class. And if Trump does get elected, I think it will be very, very positive from a regulatory perspective for Bitcoin and Bitcoin businesses in the US. Anyways, I'm going to pass it on to Ben. Ben, similar in Canada in the sense that, right, you had Trudeau, the famous Canadian truckers protest, which you were a part of. And then you have Polyrare, who's running, and he has a pro-Bitcoin stance as well. So this isn't just a US phenomenon. This is happening on a global level.
Yeah, and we so Polyev came out relatively early in support of Bitcoin, and you could see him as he navigated the waters of Bitcoin and crypto. And actually, he kind of went the opposite direction of Trump in that he started specifying Bitcoin specifically of what he likes. He's a very free market type person, but he does have a preference of what he likes. And to Trump's burger, I'll see Trump's burger and I'll raise you a future prime minister of Canada that bought shawarma at Tahini's with Bitcoin. So yeah, he's very likely to be the next prime minister of Canada.
So are you saying that Polyrare, he front ran Trump?
He did. He definitely did. Yeah, because that was a few years ago that he was buying shawarma at Tahini's in Ontario, and yeah, I mean he I don't know that he'll be that he'll make sweeping regulatory changes that are, like, we're not going to have legal tender Bitcoin in Canada. However, what I'll say in what you're talking about, well, you've got a binary choice here. You want as much runway as you can to build out the tools so that people can self-custody, so people can continue to transact in a permissionless manner, because at some point, all these tools become too difficult to crack down upon. But if we can get more time, and yes, if that comes with like a side of crypto, unfortunately, I prefer that to throwing devs in jail. So those are our choices.
100%, right? It is pretty black and white in my opinion. Opti, you want to chime in real quick before we move on to news, because we have a lot to cover.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, shouts out to Warren Davidson. He's been on the beat for a long time, and I think he is, without a doubt, a Bitcoiner. He's definitely done his homework, and love to see that he is in that position and actively fighting for the Bitcoin industry. So love to see that. Second, I've said it before, I think it was very obvious who Gary Gensler was actually working for. Everyone knows that he was an MIT professor doing a Bitcoin and blockchain class, and then he becomes the head of the SEC, and he basically actively fought to stop the Bitcoin ETF as far as everyone was concerned. It looked like he was, towing the line for some people above him. So that's why he gets a really bad rap. And then the Republican versus Democrat Party, I've said it before, either way, all roads lead to Bitcoin. We will accelerate towards Bitcoin adoption. Whoever gets in power, I think the 4-year cycle is still intact. But when you really kind of look at both sides, it seems to be one is anti-Bitcoin, pro-CBDC, and the other one, it may not be perfect, but it's pro-Bitcoin and shitcoins and wants to accelerate Bitcoin adoption. So it's all going towards hyper-Bitcoinization at some point. But actually, before I move on, sorry, Nico, Sessions, you reminded me, did we ever get one? And maybe, I have a bad memory. I have a goldfish memory here, guys. But did we ever see a video of Nayib Bukele doing transactions with Bitcoin? Because that was one of the big criticisms that people were saying of Trump. He's like, oh, he didn't actually do it. And then I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, and yet we love Nayib Bukele, but I don't remember him actually doing like a video, obviously a political campaign, a political op, him doing a transaction. But I just find that interesting.
I don't recall seeing that. Also, like
Right?
they're pushing the Chivo wallet down there, which it had its issues out the gate. So I feel like that demo would have been rockier than Trump's just there. So yeah, no, I don't recall having seen it. I don't know, Nico, do you remember?
I don't recall, but what I will say is I'm going to give Nayib Bukele a free pass here. And the reason for that is simple. I was able to, when I landed in El Salvador, you pay a customs fee, and I was able to pay that customs fee in Bitcoin on chain or Lightning. It was absolutely surreal. And, you know, he did make Bitcoin legal tender. So
Yeah,
I'm going to give
naive, but this was more on people talking.
I'm gonna give him
that moment.
I'm gonna give him a free pass. But anyways, guys, I got more information. If you guys have been waiting to get the stamp seed, today's the only day you will be able to get the limited edition Bitcoin stamping tool. And it looks like this when you stamp it into the plate. And there's only 30. So the first 30 people that buy the stamp seed today using promo code SIMPLY are going to get the limited edition Bitcoin stamping tool. All right, everybody, let's get to the news. We have a lot to talk about. Let's check it out. Here we go.
Very special shout out to our sponsor, Compass Mining. They make Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone, from beginners to experienced investors. Their turnkey miners gets you online and hashing within 48 hours, making it easier than ever to start your mining journey. Plus, with their active marketplace, you can resell your miner at any time, adding flexibility and value to your investment. Visit their website to access a wealth of resources, learning everything you need to know about Bitcoin mining. Take your first step into the world of Bitcoin mining with confidence. Discover more at compassmining.io. Again, compassmining.io, and see how Compass Mining can power your success. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US, and it integrates seamlessly with their free app called Envoy. Passport is fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet design with a UX reminiscent of a classic feature phone, so you'll know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. It's also air-gapped, meaning Bitcoin stays offline, never touching an internet connection. It's Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, air-gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes with Passport at foundation.xyz/simply. Get peace of mind for your piece of Bitcoin.
Well, we have a special promo for you guys. Opti's going to model it off right now. Opti, please. If you use promo code SIMPLY, you will get a discount to a Passport by Foundation devices hardware wallet. Incredibly easy to use, Bitcoin only, and open source. Again, promo code SIMPLY. Get yourself a hardware wallet today. Thank you, Opti. All right, so today's news is Louisiana state government accepts first cryptocurrency payment. Louisiana State Treasurer John Fleming announces an innovative transition with state government's plan to accept cryptocurrency as a valid form of payment. You can't have it both ways. You can't say Bitcoin isn't money and then say, hey, we're going to accept it as a form of payment, right? You can't pick and choose which laws are convenient. Anyways, allowing the integration of digital currency into Louisiana's public operations. Louisiana residents will now have the option to pay for state services with their private secure crypto wallets. These popular type of currencies will be accepted: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Lightning, and USD Coin. That isn't cryptocurrency payments. That is Bitcoin and that is Lightning. That is crazy that they're accepting Lightning off the gate. Hopefully it will go a little bit smoother than the Trump one. In fact, the first cryptocurrency payment was made today to the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. A unique service converts incoming cryptocurrency payments, depositing US dollar amounts into state government accounts like a credit or debit card transaction. The service protects the state from previous worries about accepting cryptocurrency and promotes the adoption of new technologies in the state's infrastructure. I mean, again, this is a continuation of the trend. This happened literally, I think, the day before Trump did that transaction. So just imagine 5 years from now where we'll be. And it makes me incredibly bullish. Anyways, do you guys want to comment on this before we move on to the Blackrock news? Ben?
Yeah, so I do find it funny that the following cryptocurrencies will be accepted: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Lightning, as if they're like different currencies, and USD coin. So I'm torn on this because on one hand, I'm not a fan of giving Bitcoin to governments, but on the other side of things, I will say that for somebody, if somebody's like myself, a crazy person living on Bitcoin, things like this where you can just like get your bills out of the way and just easily pay with Bitcoin and via Lightning from anywhere on the planet, even if you're traveling, you can like zap and pay a bill or something like that. That is a step above and beyond, and it's a huge step forward over the legacy system. So I think that's important.
100%. And one of the things I found curious as well is that they're converting it to fiat immediately. So it's like, yeah, we'll accept your Bitcoin, but we're going to convert it back to something that we can just print money out of thin air of. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's like, don't give money to the state, but at the same time, the state is immediately converting it back to fiat, which is absolutely hilarious. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on this? Yellow, Opti gained some muscle mass. We got Yellow in the house. Yellow is the CEO of Bitcoin. He is Satoshi. So any price movements are 100% caused by Yellow. So if you guys have any complaints or anything at all about Bitcoin's price, please, tag Yellow or message Yellow on Twitter. That's a joke. But anyways, Opti, what's your take on this? I mean, it is bullish in the sense that I think we get the best of both worlds, right? Louisiana is accepting Bitcoin as payment and Lightning as payment, and they're selling it immediately. So I think we get the best of both worlds as Bitcoiners here.
Yeah. I have to double down on the same thing that Sessions said. I'm not a fan of giving governments your Bitcoin, but I think it does go to show that the Bitcoin industry is maturing. I know one of the big FUD lines that I hear all the time is that classic, like, oh, well, you can't buy things with Bitcoin, or, wait until a government is taking Bitcoin for taxes and then we'll talk. Well, it seems like that point, and we're there. Like, we've crossed that bridge now. And yeah, hey, if they want to convert it back to fiat, like, have fun staying poor. I guess there's still a lot of room to go in terms of education and teaching people that you want to store the Bitcoin, not just receive it as payments, but hey, we'll take baby steps. We'll take baby steps here, and people have to learn this. So over time, more and more people will learn this. More and more nations will learn this. More and more states will learn this. So hopefully more states do follow. And it really goes to the next question of how are they going to treat Bitcoin in returns in terms of capital gains tax and all that stuff. People were kind of saying the same thing with the Trump transactions. Like, did he pay cap gains on that transaction? What's going on here? So I think it's interesting developments, and we're going to see more and more data points of seeing states and countries try to figure out how to actually deal with Bitcoin, since it is a whole new money tech. There is a learning curve, and it seems like we're still in the early fax days, the AOL internet days, but hey, we'll take slowly but surely over, catastrophe here any day. So I think this is, I don't know if I'd say bullish, Nico, but I think this is good signal that things are improving, and politicians and regulators and people in power are, at least at the very lowest terms, looking at Bitcoin differently because it is maturing.
100%. Also, shout out to the 1,000 of you guys watching live between YouTube, Rumble, X, and Nostr. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to smash the like button, share the video. And Nostr, we appreciate all the zaps coming in. Anyways, everybody, before we move on to the culture, I want to talk about Blackrock's presentation that they released a couple days ago. The name of the presentation for the audio listeners is Bitcoin, a unique diversifier. Why Bitcoin's appeal to investors lies in its detachment from traditional risks and return drivers. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That was Blackrock that said that. Not too long ago, they were talking about ESG. You know, Bitcoin really does fix things, I guess. Anyways, it goes on to say key points. Number one, investors considering allocating to Bitcoin are grappling with how to analyze it relative to traditional financial assets, given Bitcoin's unique properties and limited history. Two, Bitcoin, with its high volatility, is obviously a, quote, risky asset on a standalone basis. However, most of the risk and potential return drivers Bitcoin faces are fundamentally different from traditional risky assets, making it unfitting for most traditional finance frameworks, including the, quote, risk on and risk off framework employed by some macro commentators. That line is so important because this isn't a report coming from a rando on Twitter. This is coming from Blackrock, and this is being shown to all the wealth management banks. This report is being read by everyone, and they're literally telling you this is not a risk on asset. You can't treat it as such. This is a completely different asset. Key point number three, Bitcoin's nature as a scarce, non-sovereign, decentralized global asset has caused some investors to consider it as a flight to safety option in times of fear and around certain geopolitically disruptive events. Number four, over the long term, Bitcoin's adoption trajectory is likely to be driven by the intensity of concerns over global monetary stability, geopolitical stability, U.S. fiscal sustainability. Dude, this is crazy that BlackRock is saying. They're basically saying, like, look, Bitcoin's going to go up forever, Laura, because the U.S. government is printing too much money. And U.S. political stability. This is an inverse of the relationship that is generally attributed to traditional risk assets with respect to such forces. That is so insane because they're basically saying, like, look, guys, even if the U.S. political situation and the fiscal situation gets worse in the U.S., that's actually good for Bitcoin, and that makes number go up. And again, this is BlackRock saying this out of everyone, right? Now, they have this little graphic here for the audio listeners. It says, what makes Bitcoin relevant? Persistent historical challenges around money, prone to inflation and debasement, given a non-fixed supply. 2, difficult to transact across borders. 3, access limited to one's particular country controlled by central authority. Then they said what Bitcoin made possible: fixed maximum supply of 21 million, digitally native and borderless permitting near instantaneous global transfer of value, first truly open access global monetary system. And then it just goes and shows the charts. This is insane. And then, of course, you know, it's saying that the returns and the X's, the first cycle 592x, the second 555x, the third 104x, I think the fourth 21x, and then the upcoming one nobody knows. But yeah, I mean, this is crazy. They're making the case that it's an uncorrelated asset. And again, guys, the signal here is the fact, and look, it's showing you all the events and how Bitcoin performed, right? So U.S. Iran escalation, the S&P fell. The pandemic, the S&P only did 2%. Bitcoin was just green on every single thing. Bitcoin does not care. The honey badger does not care. And again, the signal here is the fact that this report came from BlackRock. And this is being read by wealth managers all around the world, the biggest banks, the biggest institutional investors, and they're seeing this. And BlackRock, Larry Fink, is making the case as to why Bitcoin is an alternative asset. Bitcoin is going to go up no matter what. And actually, despite unstable political situations in the United States, despite the unsustainable fiscal policy, that actually benefits Bitcoin, which is crazy that you have Larry Fink admitting to something like that.
Yeah, it's funny at this phase of Bitcoin's adoption, watching the suits trumpet the exact same points that Bitcoiners have been making for years. You know, you have Larry Fink saying, well, cap supply, it's meant to stand in the face of money printer go burr, you know, in more professional language than that. But that's effectively what he's saying. He's saying, listen, bros, money printer go burr, that's bad. We need cap supply. We need censorship resist. Like, he's basically saying that to money managers. And it's wild to see. It's, again, all of the things we just finished talking about, a previous and possibly future US president buying burgers with Bitcoin. We're talking about the CEO of Blackrock, orange pilling money managers around the globe. We're in my wildest dreams, I didn't realize it would happen this quickly, which makes me wonder what's in store in the next epoch or two.
Dude, it's going to be absolutely nuts. Opti, I mean, bro, does this surprise you? It sounds like they've been listening to Simply Bitcoin and Opti, and I think they were taking some inspiration while they were writing that report, my friend, because they're saying a lot of the things that we've been saying for years now.
They've been listening to Pierre Rochard. Let's get this straight. Let's get this straight. Yeah, I mean, look, I've been saying this for a while, and I think the biggest news to come out of this whole Blackrock ETF was a couple of weeks ago when they said that they were going to unleash, I forget what the number is, but like 1,500, or actually that might have been Morgan Chase, I forget. But essentially the idea is, now that BlackRock has finally got into the space, now that Bitcoin is got that legitimization of BlackRock, they're unleashing all of their asset institutional managers out there and sending this out to all of their clients. And so I looked this up real quick. BlackRock manages assets for clients in over 100 countries. The company helps over 35 million Americans invest to save for retirement. On behalf of clients, BlackRock manages the pension savings of over 12 million people in the UK alone, and of course has approximately $10.5 trillion in assets under management. So this isn't just some small YouTube podcast here. They are sending these reports to some of the wealthiest people out there. A huge cohort of people out there are listening to what BlackRock is saying. And I'd venture to guess that they got this in their email on whenever it came out. What was it, yesterday or whatever? Like, it hit all of their clients' emails, and now they're all reading about Bitcoin, and they're all getting the same signal that we're saying, except for it comes from the suit. So it holds a little more legitimacy here. And yeah, it's beautiful to see that they're saying exactly what we are saying, which should really get people to kind of be more concerned about where the economy really is right now. If they're going this bullish on Bitcoin and they're sending these kinds of reports out to people, I don't know. If I was someone with a lot of wealth that wasn't a young person, I would probably listen to them and be like, yeah, maybe I need to get some Bitcoin right now, because things aren't exactly as they seem. And maybe the traditional financial world isn't as healthy as I believe it to be. And maybe money printing is a bad thing. And so as much as BlackRock does make me feel icky, and it gets me concerned that they basically own everything on planet Earth, it's good to see that they're at least spreading that signal out there, and more people are going to look to Bitcoin as a viable investment option. Of course, they're shilling their ETF, but slowly but surely they'll go into spot Bitcoin once they realize that there's financial trickery that can play out in the ETFs.
And also like the ETFs, right? So like with people, like, okay, so like you're doing it, I guess, for convenience because you want to buy it with like your Charles Schwab account or whatever. But like, okay, you have to pay a fee when you buy the ETF, number one. And number two, you have third-party custody risk. So there's literally no upside for buying the ETF instead of buying spot Bitcoin and taking in self-custody. I get it from a legal perspective. There are some type of institutions that can't buy spot Bitcoin. They have to buy the ETF. There, I understand. But for the vast majority of people, BlackRock, I appreciate you being the employee of the year, employee of the month for Bitcoin. But just keep in mind, everybody, spot Bitcoin is a real thing. ETF Bitcoin is definitely ruggable. Anyways, guys, stay tuned.
Uncle Larry, pump my bags.
Stay tuned for the culture. We got BTC Sessions coming up. We're going to talk about Bitcoin Mentor, circular economy, Sats market, all that. All right, let's check it out. Here we go. All right, everybody. I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats. The Orange Shop is the Bitcoin social layer. Join the 12,233 Bitcoiners that are currently on the app. If you're on the go for a conference, or perhaps you've lived in your city for a while, you don't know any Bitcoiners around you, you pull up the Orange Pill app. It has a really clever geographical feature, and it will literally show you the Bitcoiners near you, and it will allow you to send them a message directly. You could also send Ben a message directly on the Orange Pill app. You could send Opti a message directly on the Orange Pill app. You could send me a message directly on the Orange Pill app. In fact, it's one of the best ways to reach me. Don't really answer Twitter DMs these days or random emails. So if you want to contact me, send me a message on the Orange Pill app, and every 2 or 3 weeks or so, I make sure to get back to each and every single one of you guys. So download the Orange Pill app today and scan the QR code or check the link in the video description. Anyways, we have a very special guest today. We have BTC Sessions in the flesh right next to me. We are streaming live, by the way, from the Real World Suite at Unconfiscatable 2024, courtesy of Tone Vase. And it's pretty sick suite, man. Me and Ben have been staying in the same room for the last 3 days.
Wait, same bed?
Stuff got weird for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Love this venue. I think Tone did an incredible job. I'm really enjoying this event so far. And yeah, man. So Ben, you've been working on quite a couple things. I want to start off with Bitcoin Mentor, which is your latest project. You are co-founder with your partner, Mike.
Yeah. So basically, I for quite some time I was doing one-on-ones with people. Obviously there's 8 years worth of tutorial content online, and that does a lot of people a lot of good. But oftentimes you can kind of encounter hurdles, and maybe you run into a snag that wasn't present in the video, or you just are uncomfortable. You want somebody to hold your hand. Well, I was doing one-on-ones with people. But it got to a point where I was being booked so frequently that I couldn't keep up with the channel. And so it was just kind of meant to be that I met my co-founder, Mike Cook, in Calgary, and he came to me with this idea of like, hey, let's build out this thing. And we basically put out the word for people who wanted to be Bitcoin educators, and we put them through the gamut. And we had, I think in a couple of weeks, we had well over 300 people apply to be mentors for Bitcoin Mentor. They went through a series of interviews, and then the final boss was me, because they had to teach me how to use something, or how to use Bitcoin in a wallet or hardware or whatever. And so we ended up with the team we really whittled it down to the best of the best. And now we have this amazing team of educators where if you are either a newcomer trying to learn something and level up, or if you've been around Bitcoin for a while and you kind of consider yourself to be a bit of a Bitcoin Luddite, where you learned your one thing, you know how to do your one thing, but now you're beginning to question, like, is my setup good enough? Should I level up? Absolutely, always be learning, and that's what the team at Bitcoin Mentor is there to do.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's very cool what you guys are doing, and I feel like it's like a natural continuation of what you've been doing with your one-on-one sessions, right? But people can still book you, right?
Yeah. So I'm on there. You can get one-on-ones with me. I'm more seldom than the other guys, and that was kind of
that's Ben's very nice way of saying he's the premium. He's premium VIP. You could still get Ben, but he's top shelf now.
I maybe am slightly less booked, because it can be a little bit more expensive, because the only thing more scarce than Bitcoin is one's time, and thus Bitcoin Mentor came to fruition. But honestly, every mentor there not only was already an incredible educator, but we have weekly calls to make sure, one, everybody's up to snuff, everybody has their skill set, or they're constantly leveling up, and making sure that we basically back and forth teach each other how to be better educators. And when you get a bunch of educators in a room and we all do a little scrum on what's up, you level up quick, which is amazing.
So where can people start? They hear this, or this is interesting. I don't know. I don't have the technical know-how. Perhaps I want to set up my passport. Where could they go?
Yeah. So you go to bitcoinmentor.io. And what you can do without having to commit right out the gate is you can book a free 15-minute discovery session. And the way that works is you're going to sit down, you're going to chat with my co-founder, Mike, and you're just going to outline, like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I think I might want to go. and he'll basically look at your unique case and say, okay, so you're looking to do this, that, and the other thing. Well, and from our pool of mentors, he'll say, okay, the person with the best skill set to complement what you're trying to do is this person. Let's set up your initial session or your package of sessions, depending on how much time it's going to take, and go from there. So, even if you're curious, it's worth reaching out and just saying, hey, this is where I'm at. What do you think would be a good trajectory for me?
Absolutely, 100%. And I want to pivot the conversation a little bit to, I was up there. I was in Calgary. I love that part of Canada, by the way. Alberta's dope. And you did something. I think you went through something during the Canadian truckers protest. And I think it really, and I think we're seeing this in the United States. You're seeing Warren Davidson talking about it earlier, how they're going after self-custody. The thing is, when you have a circular economy and you're not dealing with the traditional financial system, like, good luck, bro, right? It's like you can't, like, how are you going to, are you shut off the entire internet? Like, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, right? And this is the importance of circular economies. And you started doing these markets. They're called SATS markets, and you get different vendors from, people that make tea, people that make jerky, people that made like mustard. And I remember I loaded up like a wallet with like $250 and I went to each and every single vendor and I bought something. I don't even know if I took everything home, but I wanted to support the circular economy. And I think that is something that's already happening in the developing world, where people just don't trust the traditional financial system. But that is something that definitely needs to be more popular in the developed world, where the traditional system is convenient enough for people to live on it, but they're working within a system that is highly political, that can and has been used against them in the past. And I think the Canadian truckers protest was an example of that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm very much on the train now, where one of my number one missions is not only creating my own, kind of selfishly creating my own circular economy at home, because I'm one of those crazies that already lives on Bitcoin, but in creating that, learning lessons and blueprinting that out for other places to replicate it. Because you're right, other nations that maybe aren't first world countries, they're kind of leapfrogging us in that circular and that community aspect, because they already didn't really have access to like banking, things like that. And so it's easier to leapfrog and create that circular economy. Whereas if you're in a major city, and yeah, there's a bunch of Bitcoiners and everything, but everybody's just using fiat. They've got their credit cards, they've got their whatever, and you may be passionate about Bitcoin. It's tougher to connect and figure out how to navigate that. And that's what we're trying to do in my city of Calgary. Is we started with the Bitcoiners. We said, listen, guys, you already understand this is the better money. Obviously, you know that. You already earn a paycheck, and then you take that paycheck and you convert some of that to Bitcoin to save for the long term. You all have skills. Some of you have businesses and create goods and services for others. Why would you not accept Bitcoin and just like cut out a step here? And so that's what we're doing. The first one that we did was last Christmas. It was super successful. In I think 3 weeks notice, we got 35 vendors together and just did our Christmas market. It was amazing. We did another one in the spring. We did another one right before the Bitcoin rodeo. And we're gearing up for another one this December for another Christmas market, where I think we're going to do it twice a year. But the point is, you don't have to be at the market to benefit from this, because once you've been to the market, you establish those relationships, and then you continue down that path of supporting your local Bitcoiners. My dad just called me up the other day. He's like, oh my God, my toilet's broken. What did I do? I called up the Bitcoin plumber. He showed up. He got shit handled, literally. And and yeah, my dad has a fancy new working toilet paid for with sats. Shitcoin problem fixed.
Boom. And it's peer-to-peer. Right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, man. I had a great time. Guys, if you haven't made, definitely go to that part of Canada. Specifically, I would say take advantage of the Bitcoin Rodeo Conference and just go up there. It's incredible conference. This year we did the roast of BTC Sessions. We had a very, very famous comedian,
JP Sears.
JP Sears. I got his name right this time. No, it was absolutely hilarious. So it's a great time. Highly recommend the pilgrimage. Highly recommend that conference. It's high signal, great production, and a great job. Anyways, we are at the top of the hour. I do want to give opportunity to Opti to have some last words, then Ben, and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, I really want to ask Ben a question. Sorry, there was like a hair in my mouth. Because we were trying to bring Ben on a while ago. We got requests for Ben to come on, and I don't want you to dox your setups or whatever gets you in trouble here. So you could plead the fifth if you want to. But for people out there, they are very curious of how do you actually live on the Bitcoin standard, and how do you connect to the fiat world? And I'm sure you have videos on this, but just a quick little TLDR for the people out there. How do you actually live on the Bitcoin standard?
Yeah, so there's a few things in practice that I do. So number one is we're very lucky in Canada that we've got some great companies, some great Bitcoin companies. One of them co-sponsor of Simply Bitcoin and BTC Sessions. By the way, bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions. Great code.
No. Hold on.
bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc.
Kick him off the show.
But what the main point being in Canada is very easy to pay your bills with a service like Bitcoin Well. They do an incredible job. I can pay Lightning and it can go and it can pay a bill. It can go to a bank account. It can do all of these things. So that bridges a major gap for me. Another great service that I use regularly, and there's a number of them, but I love Bitrefill. And so for things like gas and groceries, things like that, I can just like literally in line at the grocery store, I pull up my Lightning wallet, I hit up Bitrefill, I get myself a grocery card and I pay for it. And now they know me, like they don't know exactly what's going on, but they're like, there's the guy that stockpiles gift cards. I'm like, yes, absolutely. So those take care of a lot of it, but I recognize I'm using services to make that possible. And thus the impetus for the SAT market is, to be truly ungovernable, uncensorable, you have to have a community. You have to know people and be able to say, hey, I know my local rancher. I've shaken his hand and I've bought, a quarter cow from him. And, things like that where you can't prevent people from having relationships with each other. And that's the true strength. So that's kind of the three-pronged approach that I have right now. And it seems to be working pretty well.
Love that. Anyways, guys, this was a special, these last 3 days, special edition Simply Bitcoin Live, streaming from the Real World Suite at Unconfiscatable 2024, courtesy of Tone Vase. I'm going to be heading back to Miami later tonight. Opti is going to be taking the host seat tomorrow with Chris or Brandon. Opti, I think it's Brandon. And I'll be back for the Monday show. Guys, this was Simply Bitcoin Live for September 19, 2024. I'm your host, Nico. This is our guest for today, of course, the legendary BTC Sessions, and of course, my legendary co-host, Optimus Fields. All right, everybody, if you guys enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash the like button, consider subscribing, and go outside, touch some grass, and I'll see you guys on Monday, everybody. Peace out, everybody.
Brought to you by bitcoinwell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.